All right, welcome to our Monday night webinar series. We're excited to have you guys. Tonight's guest speaker, Josh, will be joining us and speaking and training us on septic systems. He is currently living in Eatonville. For those of you who are wondering where he's coming from, where he resides. Wife went to Eatonville High School, and he grew up in Arizona. But he's been here in the Washington area since 2001, so I would consider that pretty much a Washingtonian. He's been doing septic systems for 10 years, so he definitely has been in this field or line of work for a decade, and he started as a pumper. So that's a pretty dirty job, right, Josh? But even dirtier, I would say, or having the heart for working with people. And this is what I love about Josh is he, before he did septic pump, he was a caretaker for disabled adults. So he definitely has a heart for people. And I'm very excited to have one of my favorite companies. In fact, if I was to look and see who I refer the most to, I would refer to Drain Pro, the company that he works for. So I'm going to keep the mics muted. He does have about 5, 6 slides to go through with you guys. I've already learned a few things just by going through the slides with him to see what he's going to be talking about. I got a sneak peek, if you will. But you will learn something today, I promise you. So stay tuned for his presentation. And then if you want to jot some notes, you're welcome to send some notes to me or to Shannon as he talks so that we can get your questions answered. I think we'll have enough time around the 6 o'clock to just go ahead and ask a few questions. So with that, I'll turn it over to Josh. Thank you so much for spending some time with us this evening.
Yep, absolutely. Good evening. So like you said, my name is Josh Russell. I work for Drain Pro Inc. I'm a level 2 specialist, which means that there's a couple different tests you got to take to get to there. And I am the manager of my crew. So I have a couple guys that I manage, and we go down and out and do inspections, home sale inspections, drain field repairs, tank repairs, and try to troubleshoot any of the problems that anybody's got with pumps or floats or panels. And actually, I started as a pumper. I've done just about everything you could do at Drain Pro, including the eductor trucks and drain cleaning. Just anything I can get my hand on, so as long as I can learn something. So we're going to go through a couple things. What I thought you would want to focus on, of course, is the home sale inspections. What we could possibly find wrong on our inspections, what we would do to repair the deficiencies that we found, and then how to track the RSSs, what the county will put the RSS on hold for, and then how I track the RSSs in Pierce County is a new portal that the county has set up called Excella. And it's completely changed everything that Pierce County does. It is connected to the online army, but it provides a whole bunch of more information and a better way to track everything. And then I'll kind of explain to you guys how you can be attached to that also. All right, so when we get on site for a regular inspection for a home sale, just say it's a gravity system, a pumper can go out, they will pump out the tank. It's required in Pierce County, Thurston County, and King County. I understand there's some people in Oregon that's not required in Oregon, but it's always recommended. Drain Pro won't do an inspection in Oregon unless we're also pumping. The first thing that the pumper will look at is the tank levels. Is it high? Is it low? Or is it normal? Even a tank level that's a couple inches high or a couple inches low is a deficiency. It's a sign that something is wrong with either the tank or the drain field itself. It could be something silly like a filter being dirty, but as soon as the water level is not normal, then something has to happen. They check the inlet and outlet baffle. Both of them do have to be intact. Of course, there are gray areas. The baffle can be cracked, but if it's starting to deteriorate, if it's starting to fall apart, if any of it's missing, then it will have to be replaced. The next thing they will do for a gravity system is that they walk the drain field. Not every system has an as-built. So if we get to a site that doesn't have an as-built, then we walk the area as best as we can guess. We will put in our report, walked assumed drain field. We have to at least say that we gave it a shot. We walked what the most likely area was. The area in the drain field needs to be 6 inches or less of debris. And according to some of the inspectors that I've talked to, they all have their own personal way of doing things. But the message that I've got from them is that they have to be able to walk at least 70% of the drain. The county inspectors, they charge for this RSS, and part of it is because they physically come out on the site. They will follow us, and they will make sure that the drain field's where we thought it was, that the drain field's clear, that none of the lids are loose, that none of the lids are cracked. And they will also check to see if there are any unpermitted buildings hooked up to the septic system. So they won't dig up your tank, they won't look in the tank, but they will physically come out and site. So while we're out in the drain field, we're looking for wet areas. We're looking for surfacing sewage, essentially. We're looking for too much brush, too much blackberry, or...
That doesn't sound like the fun part of the job, Josh. You're walking around in the sewage. That doesn't sound good.
No, that ultimately is what we're looking for. If the lateral ends are riser on a pressure system, I can look at the caps. We can look down in inspection ports if they've been installed, and we will look in those. But ultimately, what we're looking for is called ponding or surfacing.
Okay.
As they're just, they're not making us camera the drain field. Right now, they're not making us stress test the drain field like they were for a few months a little bit ago. But they want a minimum. Of course, their goal is not to pass on something that has problems. They, were just in a meeting a few days ago, and they really do. They do care about the people that are inheriting these houses, and they don't want to pass on something that's got problems, something that they're going to have to take responsibility for if it's not caught. So as far as the no stress test required right now, I asked them directly a few days ago, and they said they are discussing, but there's no plans right now to bring it back. They're leaving it open to that idea. I don't think that they had the plan quite set in place well enough as far as the guidelines, and they realized that it was really up for interpretation. So they did get rid of it. But don't be surprised if it does come back in the future, but not immediately. So that would be a gravity system. So what we look for when we come to a system that's got a pump in it, what we're doing is the same things for the gravity. We're checking the baffles, we're cleaning the filter, we're checking the water levels, but we're also doing a drawdown. So we're measuring the flow rate to the drain field. We measure the water level, we get a stopwatch out, and we actually run the pump for a minute or two. And based on the size of the tank, we can figure out how many gallons are going to the drain field per minute. So if it's 25 gallons a minute or if it's 30 gallons a minute. And then what we're doing is we're comparing it to any history that we have of that. If the history 3 years ago said I got 40 gallons a minute and now I'm getting 25, we can see that it's probably going to get due for some sort of maintenance in the future. Right now, the county's considering that okay. But once you hit the 50% or less efficiency, so if it used to get 40, now it's getting 20 or 15, the county is actually going to ask for something to be done. It doesn't get called all the time. I've seen it happen where somebody did get moved into a house and the drawdown was way less than what it should have been, and it didn't get caught. But if the county does catch it, anything under 50% is their threshold to where something is going to have to be done as far as jetting or working out in the drain field.
So it could be marked as not deficient, but still be on like kind of a watch list? Is that kind of what you're suggesting?
Correct. Yeah, I mean, these systems aren't brand new. So when they get put in, over time, they're not going to be as efficient. The drain holes in the pipe, they do get clogged over time. And they don't consider it deficiency until it's under 50% of that.
Okay.
So I will always mark on my reports. Drawdown used to be 40 gallons a minute, and now it's 30, just something to watch. And that way it can get maintenance at some point. But we wouldn't consider that a deficiency.
Okay.
We also check to make sure the alarms are working. The buzzer and the light on the alarm have to both work. I can't just do one or the other. They want a secondary alarm. That's of course if there was an alarm installed. Some of the systems out there never had one. If I get to a site and it didn't have an alarm float and it doesn't have an alarm buzzer, it gets grandfathered in.
Okay.
But as soon as it has an alarm float present or a tank alert somewhere on the property, then it has to work. Or if I saw a report in the past that said that it had one. So if one of all those three things are present, it does have to function. We're also looking for cracked lids, of course, that all the screws are in place. And something I kind of want to throw out there, it's not mandatory yet, but we did have some safety issues last year. I'm sure some people read in the newspaper, saw on the news. A child did fall into a tank in Tacoma and drowned. I believe him and his brother were playing in the backyard, and there was a lid that was not secured. So what's happened is a lot of the companies in this industry are starting to make secondary safety devices. They're actually things that will go underneath the lid and they'll bolt in or snap in. They will be an effort to take out. It will be implemented at some point where all new septic systems will be installed are going to have them. Right now it's an option, but that probably will be something that you guys will see in the future, that the secondary safety systems on the lid will just be part of what we check. But it's not quite there right now. It's optional. So part of the septic systems in Pierce County, Thurston County, King County, even Kitsap County, there's some more complicated septic systems out there, and they're called ATUs. They will have called aerobic treatment units. They use a sort of pre-treatment. Some of them have aerators, some of them have blowers, some of them have UV bulbs. That has mostly to do with either being close to water or the soil types on the property. And in order to inspect these for a home sale, you have to have your level 2 certificate. So just a standard pumper. And this happens a lot here is we have to send out a tech. One of my guys, they have to go out and do the inspection first, and then you send a pumper. So for those guys, they do get charged twice. We are working with some of our pumpers. We now have a pumper that's level 2 certified, and our septic pumping managers also certified, so that customers don't have to feel like they're getting double charged for that. But it is something that takes some more training, some extra testing, some more practice, and generally people that are pumping every day don't have the experience or the knowledge to recognize something that's wrong.
So it'd help you out, Josh, if we were to know ahead of time before we call it in, or have the homeowner call you guys to schedule the pumping if they knew they had an ATU, right?
Yes, if you know already, absolutely tell someone in the office, whoever you're calling. The girls in my office are usually pretty good, but it does happen where the pumper shows up and he makes a phone call and says, I can't inspect this. And we don't pump it before the inspection.
Right.
It doesn't do us any good. then you can't actually do the inspection. I can't see if their aerator is blowing correctly. I can't see if the sludge return is running right. So the pumper does have to leave and come back. But that should be on the office people or myself to catch that stuff before it happens. Generally, we're attaching our as-built to our work orders so that we have the information.
So if my agents have like waterfront homes, or is it a newer system that these ATUs are put in? What should they look out for?
Some are 20 plus years old. Some of these
Really?
have been around a while. Yeah. A lot of them in Gig Harbor, but places that just have questionable soil types are
Okay.
really the most common. And anything that's installed now, it's getting more rare to have a pressure gravity. Some people get a regular pressure system, but it's getting real easy to put a home anywhere now because of the new systems.
Okay. So basically, I'm just asking the homeowner questions about if they know if they have a blower, or aerator, or UV bulb, use some of those words. And if the answer is yes, then they're most
Any of those
likely.
things, it's an ATU. Yep.
Okay. That's helpful. Super,
And
that's good.
of course, for maintenance for the homeowner, there's more moving parts.
Yeah.
There's more stuff to replace in the future. Things like the bulb goes out every couple of years. They're trying to get away from using the bulb, but there's always more cost involved when you own one of those two.
That's good. There we go.
All right. So there are fixes for most things that we're going to run across. Not everything. We can do tank repairs. We can work on the drain field. Starting in
everything costs money though, Josh. That's what I know.
everything.
Right.
And I think I have a note in here later on, but and I tell everybody that I talk to, I've had to break really bad news to people, and it's never fun. I've been yelled at. I've been been bribed. But just like when I was working with the adults in Olympia, I'm not truly a mandated reporter, but I am. We're kind of an arm of the county. We're not out to get anybody. We do have certifications and licenses, and my only role really is to report to the county what we see. We don't fail systems. I don't tell someone that their system's failed. I just tell them what I see is wrong and what I can do to fix it. And I tell everybody that. Sometimes I'm the bad guy, and all I can do is apologize. That I have to tell them I can't keep this a secret. They want to know. That's really what my job is. So for Pierce County, for a low level, we can still do tank repairs. Thurston County, you can still do tank repairs if it's over a 500-gallon tank. But the new thing in Pierce County started up April 1st is they want a permit. I used to be able to just hop down into a tank, coat the walls, pour new floor, file a report saying it's good, I tested it, I put water in it, it holds. Now they actually want me to locate the drain field, draw a site plan, file an application for a permit, wait for approval, get a stamp, and then go out and go through the whole process of pumping the tank, getting down in, skin coating the walls, pouring in the floor, filling it with water, waiting 24 hours, and then coming back to see if it helps, and then filing a follow-up report. So it's a good thing. Not all companies used to do that process where we would actually check it when they were done.
Yeah.
Now it's required. They won't let you get away with it anymore. That's always
so if I had like a repair that I know you guys did a repair for me last year, and without the permits, I think because it wasn't required, but the turnaround time, even with all of that work that you guys do at your company, that takes, what would you say, like 3 weeks at a minimum to get all that stuff done?
Yeah, right now I've been doing one, and I'm about to go check to see if it held tomorrow. And I think from start to finish, yeah, it's been about 3 weeks. Okay. So, and that's something I brought up with them is it already used to take a while. And some of these are home sales. So, people are trying to have closing dates, and right. When they turn in the permit, it takes 5 or 6 days for them to say, yeah, go ahead. And I'm trying to ask them if they will speed that process up. It's kind of a formality. You're making me tell you I'm going to do it. So obviously, we're on the up and up. I'm asking. But it does make this turnaround time take that much longer.
Okay.
And so one of the other remediations, something that we will see when we go out, is if the tank level is high. Sometimes it's just jetting the drain field. Sometimes we run into old systems. Drain fields are made of all kinds of material. They're made of, old ones are made of concrete tiles that are about 1 foot long.
Mm-hmm.
Are made of material that's more like roofing material, called Orangeburg, and it breaks down over time, and it doesn't really, it's not a good material. It's hard to work on. It falls apart really easily when you're trying to fix it. Some of it is made ADS, so the corrugated stuff that comes in a big roll, they let them do that for a little while. But we can repair drain fields and we can jet them, but again, Pierce County is making us go through a permitting process. I used to be able to just go in and repair 10 feet and tell them about it, and now I have to ask permission. King County won't let you do any of that at all, from what I understand. I don't work in King County drain fields. I just do inspections over there, but they're even more strict. Kitsap County will let you do repairs and jetting drain fields. They just want communication calls. So we can still do some of these things. I'm not sure who has ever heard of tear lifting. I still get asked by some realtors about possibility of tear lifting. For those of you not familiar, it was a machine on wheels, and it had a giant air compressor attached to it and a jackhammer with a rod. And you could actually drive it out into a drain field, jackhammer the rod down into the ground, build up air pressure, and blow air into the rock. Way back when, people would put styrofoam beads in it, and they would actually blow it into the rock, create more separation so the water could drain. Obviously, that's not very environmental friendly. They stopped doing that. And some of the companies continued to tear lift. It's kind of a questionable tactic because it's more of a Band-Aid than anything. So the county also highly discourages that now. That again started April 1st. We've been tear lifting as a company for 20 years, and I'm just saying no. They will let us apply for a permit to do it, but the steps that they've created in order to make that happen, I asked them a few days ago if they did it on purpose so that we wouldn't do it anymore, and they let me.
Okay.
So I have one. I have a machine here. I have 3 of them, but I'm not going to do it. One of the other companies, Advanced, said that they did apply and they were able to get an okay to do it, but the customer didn't end up wanting to do it. So it is kind of a dinosaur now. Those of you who have heard of it, you may be able to find a company that will still do it, but I'm no longer drain fields.
Well, if we're doing permits and all things like that with the county, we've got to kind of realize you can't swim upstream like we used to. It's a little bit harder.
And it was just a Band-Aid on a bullet wound is kind of how we would say. Mm-hmm. If you're trying to make your system last a little longer, trying to save some money to get a design done, I tell people, yeah, this may last a month, may last 3 years. I can't tell you, but especially for something that's about to be sold to somebody else, yeah, there's no way I would do it. Okay. Ethically, I wouldn't feel right. And they make you go out with an excavator and a designer and someone from the county, and you dig into the drain field all the way down to the hard pan or the water table next to the drain rock, and they come out and actually evaluate that. So now you've got me digging the hole with an excavator, the county, a designer on site, just for them to tell you no. So you're thousands of dollars in just to get a no. So yeah, just not a thing. But
yeah, and if you're King County and you have a repair or remediation, it's sometimes easier just to connect up to the sewer line when you start adding up all of the costs.
Yeah, if you're in a property that's close enough, absolutely.
Yeah.
I know a lot of King County, there are some places in Pierce County. Some of us are just, like where I live, that's never going to be an option.
Right.
A lot of rural houses out here. So one of the other things that we'll see when we do a pressure system inspection is a low drawdown. And that's where we measure, we did the flow rate. And it's normally a pretty easy process. You know, they have 3/16 holes in the lateral ends. They're really small. And over time, they get clogged with material. And generally, an easy jetting of the drain lines will clear that up and bring the flow rate back to where it used to be. If it's coming out of the ground, that's a different story. I've run into one of those recently. The drawdown was great, flow rate was fine, but the water was going up instead of down. And that just means that we've got a biomat issue, which we used to tear lift, and that's not an option anymore. So that's that last line is, if we've got, you know, we do any of these issues, what I usually do is I send a team, a couple of my guys out, and I do what's called drain field assessment. So before I jump to conclusions on anything, we want to know exactly what the cause of the low drawdown, of the water surfacing. We'll camera out as far as we can. We'll go out in the drain field. We'll dig a couple holes and actually look at the rock. So what happens in these septic systems is they start to build what's called a biomat. It's in every single drain field you will run across, every single one. Even if it's just a little bit, it's normal. They're supposed to have a little bit at the bottom that actually does help slow down the water a little bit. It helps the water filter on its way down to our drinking water, which of course I haven't mentioned yet. The whole purpose of the septic system is because eventually someone's going to drink this water. That's why the health department cares so much about it. But the biomat is actually dead bacteria, and a septic system that isn't cared for, that's not maintained, will push all the material out from its septic tank and its pump chamber, and it'll end up in the rock, and it ends up black and gooey and gross and smells real bad, and what creates almost what I call like a plastic bag around your rock, and the water just won't drain anymore, and there's no way to remove it. The only way for it to ever go away is to not use the system for a couple of years. If you're able to move away from your house for a few years and just let it sit, it might fix itself, but that's usually not an option. So if you ever hear the term biomat, that's actually biological material, and it's dead bacteria, and
interesting.
It's a killer of drain fields is what it does. So that's why we pump for maintenance. I usually tell people pumping is like changing your oil. 3 to 5 years for pumping your tank, 3,500 miles for an oil change. It's a lot cheaper to pump your tank than it is to replace your drain. So,
yeah.
It's not a scam. Your drain fields are expensive, and that's really the whole purpose, is so you don't send all that material out to your drain field and make it into a situation where nobody can work on it. All right, what do we have here? All right. All right, so the RSS, or the TOT in Thurston County, what the county is trying to do is they're trying to make sure that the buyer is educated before they take on this huge responsibility. So what they're doing is they're double checking everything that the seller is saying and that we are saying. A lot of the holds that we get put on are, obviously, I think you and I discussed this before this started, is I've had several people who decided they wanted to make a living quarters in the garage.
Yep.
And they advertised it in their Zillow as this fantastic addition ADU in the garage, and a sink and a fridge. And of course, the county inspectors will check your ads. If someone puts it in an ad on Zillow or Redfin, the county inspector will see it. And if it's unpermitted, So if it's not original to the design of the septic system was designed for 3 bedrooms, and now you're advertising it as 4, they will flag that and they will put it on. I had to go out to a customer's house and crawl under his house and disconnect his water line that went to his garage and disconnect his main line that went to the septic tank, and he had to take out his bathtub, his sinks, and remove his fridge, anything you cook with, no ovens, no microwaves, no stoves, and he had to remove all his doors so that it didn't look like bedrooms. So it was very unfortunate, but they are watching that stuff.
What
And
makes it so easy now too, Josh, with all of the the data they can pull, right?
yeah.
And they're putting it into the online portal, and so it's not like you can. I mean, if you list something, you've got to make sure you've disclosed it properly. And that's what our job is as real estate agents, to make sure we're properly marketing the properties that we see, so we can get them sold to the next buyer who can then not have problems with the county or the
Yep.
permitting or the appraisal or all the other things that we have to contend with all of the parts of the transaction.
Yep. And then, on my end, what I see is, of course, then the RSS is held, and now we're in a scramble because there's a closing date. And I try to keep really in good communication with the people that are doing the RSSs. Daniel and Chris and anybody else over there at the county, as long as you got a good relationship with them, we can call them and like, hey, we fixed this. I filed a report. Can you undo unlock the RSS? And generally they're pretty good. They will do it within a day or two, generally, as long as I ask very nicely. They're usually pretty accommodating. But what we see a lot is, and we actually had this question in a meeting the other day, is let's say an RSS was pushed through 10 years ago for the home and it says 4 bedrooms. But they have more information now. They're able to dig through some things, and it's actually 3 bedrooms. Just because it got approved for a 4 bedroom at some point doesn't mean that it will again. And we were kind of warned the other day that that's what some of their holds are, is it doesn't get grandfathered into being a 4 bedroom because 10, 15 years ago, someone said that was okay. It can still go backwards to being a 3 bedroom, even though at one point it said 4. It's whatever the design was originally for, that's what it is.
Okay.
If it's designed for 3, it can't ever be a 4, even if years ago somebody said, yeah, that's fine. So, okay, here we go. So this was something I was just saying. I just passed information. We're not out to get anybody. We don't fail systems. The county failed systems. That's not my job. I just tell them what I saw and what I think would be a good solution, and they can either agree. Sometimes other companies can come in behind us and go, hey, I have a better idea. I can do that, and that's what happens. But the septic companies aren't the end by any means. The county are the ones that end up deciding whether this is going to be put on hold or this is truly a deficiency. They depend on us to report back to them because they just don't have enough people. So we just kind of consider ourselves as an arm of the county, and we tell them what we saw and we work with them as much as possible. Yep. And this was a little vague. Part of our meeting we had the other day, they were very coy. They didn't want to get into it a whole lot, but we did bring up the fact that there was a rumor that the RSSs were going away. And they said, no, that's not the case, but we are reimagining the RSS. And they wouldn't tell us what that was. But that's all it says, is we're reimagining what the RSS should look like, and it's in the works. So again, something to look for in the future. They didn't say how long into the future, but the RSS itself in Pierce County can be changing.
Guess more to come in that county, but it'll be interesting to see how they streamline things it maybe starts with this new portal. I know we're about 5, 6 minutes over 6 o'clock. Josh, are you okay to wrap?
Oh, yeah, I can grab real
Yeah.
fast. Okay, so everybody, you can go to this Excel Citizen Access is for Pierce County. You can set up an account. You can actually track your RSSs. You can add them into a list. When you do a home sale with these companies that are doing your RSS for you, hey, tell them, hey, here's my email address. Add this to the RSS. When the RSS is done, Excel will email you and tell you.
This is great. This is something that we've been asking for years in Pierce
So you don't
County.
have to call my office and ask how the RSS is doing.
Because we have contract deadlines we have to meet. You know, we did 10 days, we might need an extension because we found something. So this is a way for us to track how things are going with the county.
And they'll email you if
Good.
it gets on hold and you're attached to it. It'll email you and tell you.
So this is taking a lot of that, kind of trying to call these people when we're up against deadlines. This is really, really good news. It's funny, Shannon and I both learned something today. We didn't know that they actually had this up and running, this portal.
Oh yeah, they've been working on it for like a year and a half.
Yeah, finally. All right, super. So I think there was a couple questions. Are you almost get one more slide? Sorry, I don't want to cut you off. There's your contact. That's great.
That's just me again. You're good.
That's good. There was a couple questions. One of them that came in when you're talking. Can you do garbage disposals? Is that a new thing? Like, can you have a garbage disposal with a septic system, or do you still recommend not having one?
We recommend not having one. It's a stress on your septic tank.
Okay.
There's always a really simple rules. What we say is if you didn't eat it and you didn't wipe with it, then it doesn't go into your tank. Your
Okay,
tank,
one more time. You guys say that one more time, Josh, because I got it.
if you didn't eat it and you didn't wipe with it, then it doesn't go in your tank.
Okay.
Your tank's a living environment. It actually has to produce the bugs and to digest the stuff that you're putting in there. And if you're just putting raw material down there that our body didn't already help break down, it's the balance in the tank gets really bad and it could get overwhelmed and it starts pushing that stuff through. It doesn't break it down.
Okay. Do you install SIP liners, CIPP liners?
SIP liners?
Mm-hmm.
SIPP? I'm not familiar with the SIP liner.
Okay. So it'd probably be a no.
Oh, it's the cured in place pipeliners. It's like if you have an old concrete.
Okay. Yeah, like it's not like pipe bursting, but yeah, it's pipelining. My company doesn't, but there are like Spartan Plumbing does. Generally, that's mainly for pipe that's really not accessible. Like let's say your sewer line is under your building, under your concrete foundation, and it's not realistic to saw open 20 feet of line. You can do it's almost like a resin base, and they will push the lining through the system. That's not really a septic thing. That's more like a sewer lining system, but my company does it. But yeah, and the stuff gets really expensive. It can be like up to $300 a foot.
So you had recommended this other chat that I'm just got. You recommended pumping anywhere from 3 to 5 years. Is that dependent on the system? And we have systems all across, like in Spokane and also in Idaho. We got a few agents on the line here tonight, so they're trying to kind of guesstimate what they're dealing with, or they should tell their homeowner.
That's just a guideline.
Okay.
So it always depends on how many people live in the home, and in the use, of course, how it's used, and the type of system. Yes. So I will see ATUs, like a fast or multi-flow, that get pumped every 2 years. I used to have a family that we'd service, and they had 10 foster kids, and they get pumped twice a year.
Okay.
I've had elderly couple, and we go to inspect them, and they don't need pumping for 7 years. So we use 3 to 5 as a guideline. What it really ultimately comes down to is the percentage of solids. So of course, depending on usage, how many people live there will change how many solids are actually in your tank. And it's a number that we use. It's 33%. Once your system gets 33% of solids in it, that means your tank doesn't have enough retention time for the water to actually settle, go to the top and to the bottom. So it
Mhm.
needs 2 days of retention time in your tank so that it's not just passing raw sewage out into your drain field. It has time to separate. Once you get more than 33% of solids in your tank, it's not sitting in your tank long enough before it's passing. So I can't. That's really why inspections are important, so you can see
Yeah.
where your levels are at. Otherwise, it's just a guess. That's why we use 3 to 5.
Okay, that helps. And there's one other question that came in. Shannon, did you have any questions on your side of things?
Yeah, I get agents that ask all the time what a D box is. Can you kind of quickly explain what that is? Because it comes up on these septic reports all the time.
Yes, so that is a distribution box, or if you're in Oregon, that can be a drop box. They're similar, they're not quite the same, but distribution box, it can be for a pump to gravity, which means a pump pumps up to a box, or just straight out of your tank into a box. It's literally what it sounds like. It's a box. It comes into the box, and then there can be different laterals that it goes out. So it's a way that they designed the system to try to equally distribute the water as best as possible. So you have the water going in 3 different directions. It'll come into this one box, and then they have speed levelers, so you can actually make sure that the water goes out all 3 directions equally. Because gravity systems are imperfect. Nothing's completely 100% level. So you stick in that box in there before it goes all these different directions, and it will help spread the water out better, which will make your system last longer.
That might be what Craig's referring to. He says,
Yeah,
does
Craig-
using a lot of water dilute the solids to delay the pumping?
No,
No. Okay.
no. Using too much water will hydraulically overload your drain field. So if your drain field is only, however many square feet of absorption area, and it's meant that it can take 360 a day, the more water you put in there, it's actually going to start carrying those solids out faster, and then you're hydraulically overloading the drain.
Thank you very much. See, you're answering all kinds of, we're learning all kinds of things today.
Which means that you're taking those solids out to your drain field.
Mhm.
And that's what we're trying to avoid.
How many septic tanks are old that you actually look at? What's the oldest septic tank that you've ever seen?
I've seen metal tanks.
Really?
Yes, I've almost fallen through a couple metal tanks. The old tanks, they used to be made on site, so they call them pour-in tanks. You go and you'll pump the tank, or you'll be on site and you actually see plywood floating in the water. That's actually the molding that they use to pour the walls.
Okay.
So yeah, like the 40s and 50s.
1940? Okay.
Yeah.
I know you did my mom's, was like 1970 something, so.
Oh yeah, well, the 2 compartment tanks started in the 70s, so those are actually, we consider those 2.
Those are, okay. Good. Solid only. Yeah, solids only, Patty. Like in South, how good are septic tanks for solids only? Like in South Prairie? I'm trying to understand the question. I think she's just making a comment.
For solids only, I'm not sure.
Yeah, we don't put tampons, all those kinds of things down the system. Those are no.
No, yeah, those are
Wet
no.
wipes, definitely not.
So I mean, everybody has the wet wipes. It's okay. It says flushable, and I kind of, my joke is, GI Joes are flushable, but you still shouldn't flush them down there. Ultimately, wipes are really mostly just annoying to the pumper. As long as it stays in the tank, then that's okay. You just don't want it passing along it through the system.
Yeah.
The
life age of a septic. What's the life age of a septic system, Josh? That's a tough one. It depends on the system, right? I mean, what type of system it is. Gravity is different than some of the other systems.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen systems that were early 60s, 50s, and they're still okay. They were maintained and they weren't used very heavily. I've seen a system fail after 2 years because they pushed too much grease through it, and it just clogged the drain field. You should get what they call is like a lifetime. So if you put in a brand new system, you should be able to get a lifetime out of your system.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
you should be able to get 50, 60 years out of a properly cared system.
As long as you're maintaining it.
Yeah, they aren't designed to fail. That's not really the term that we use, but they all will fail eventually. It will only take so much water, so much biomass over time. Eventually, you're gonna have to pick a different spot to put all that water.
Okay. And the last question, Craig's sneaking one in on me there for you, Josh. They're all trying to get their question. Do you recommend using septic tank enzymes? Any favorite brands or effective things that you've seen for us that have
So
septic systems?
We do all of our training through an organization called WOSA. It's the Washington On-Site Sewer Association. We do all of our training, all of our testing through them. And the information that we were given, that we were all given, is that the best thing you can do for your septic system is pumping for maintenance and going to the bathroom. Anything that you're putting into the tank as far as enzymes go is just a reproduction of your own gut.
Okay.
So we were told that not to recommend that.
The enzymes.
The enzymes, yes. I have heard good things. I've heard that it will take the scum from the top and it will just put it on the bottom. And it doesn't, it breaks it down, but doesn't necessarily reduce the amount of solids, percentage of solids in the tank. It just displaces it to the bottom. But as far as the septic company goes, we are not allowed to introduce chemicals into a septic system. But
Okay, that's helpful. I know I promise I'll let you go here, Josh. To repair the system, which parts cost the most? The drain field, the D-box? If you have to do like remediation, what's the most expensive part?
drain field.
Drain field.
By
Yeah.
far. Yeah.
Drain field is the big one. D-box has come up and it's not as expensive. I know that.
No, I mean they've got plastic D boxes. I can go to Fowler and buy for like
Yeah.
$40. You just have to pay me to put it in.
Right.
That's easy. That's just some plumbing and a shovel. The drain field itself to replace is very expensive.
Because you have to have the permits and you have to have the redesign and you have to have the guy come out and dig. It's not fun.
Yeah, just the cost of the designer is hard to swallow sometimes.
Yeah.
And that's just the drawing that says here, this is what you're gonna do.
Yeah, hopefully this was helpful for you guys. Thank you for your questions and thank you so much, Josh. I appreciate all your education. If you guys want to give, write down his email address, phone number. Drain Pro is one of my favorites. If you have questions, even if you're not in Pierce County, Josh is a wealth of knowledge. So I appreciate you taking the time and helping us out tonight, Josh.
Yeah, absolutely, thank you.
All right, have a good week, you guys. Thanks, Christina. She's seconding my my endorsement. Thank you for that.
All right, thank you, everybody.
All
Have a
right,
good
see you soon.
Awesome. All right, bye.